Hey Zelda fans, have you played Zelda Tears of the Kingdom yet? I know we have.
Not. Because it's not out yet.
But we have a long history of playing many Legend of Zelda games, and we're playing Legend of Zelda right now on our channel here at Green and Garb.
Yes, we are, and I'm running it. Which is super exciting.
So we want to tell you about our experiences with Legend of Zelda, the franchise, the series, what it means to us, and why we decided to play Legend of Zelda here on the channel.
Yeah.
So I'll begin with a story. The year was 1987. It was a snowy, cold day in New England. My dad went out to buy, he braved the snow, the New England snow, and he went out to buy a Nintendo Entertainment System for me for Christmas. Came back, and one of the two games was Legend of Zelda, the original, for NES. And I had no idea what to do. I was so lost, right? But over time, right, so I played that one, and I played Zelda 2, the Adventure of Link, thank you very much, A Link to the Past, etc., etc. And I think for me, what called me for Zelda a lot was like the idea of like Link as kind of like a gallant knight, right? A knight errant who goes out and does good, right? And fights for the kingdom, for the princess, whatever. I think for me, that was like the biggest takeaway for young David here, who's also now a full-grown Sheikah. Yeah, for me.
Yeah, I, to be perfectly honest with you, don't remember a time in my life without Zelda. Mm-hmm. My dad used to play them, and so like when I was really, really little, I would watch him play Link to the Past, and then eventually Ocarina of Time. Mm-hmm. And some of my earliest memories are playing Ocarina of Time by myself before I could even read. My mom used to always laugh about the fact that I would play these games even before I knew how to read and figure them out. Nice. It's been a language for me that has been a massive part of my life. Before I could even beat the actual Ocarina of Time game, what I would do is I would go on my dad's profile and just fight Ganon over and over and over and over again. It was like my favorite thing to do. I distinctly remember when Majora's Mask came out. Mm-hmm. That was a huge deal. I remember when Wind Waker came out. Mm-hmm. All of the releases since Ocarina of Time have very vivid stamps in my brain. I remember the Nintendo Power days. Following Twilight Princess after it got delayed like 6 times. Like, I don't remember how many times it was, but it was a long time because it was a couple years, I think, of delays. And I was just like, please, I want to play it. But yeah, Zelda has been a massive part of my life, and it's on my skin. In a couple places as of yet. Eventually it'll be all over. This is all gonna be Zelda.
Nice. Nice.
But yeah, it's been there for me in a lot of really dark times. It's been there for me in a lot of really great times. And it's a massive part of me.
And I think when we talk about Zelda, Legend of Zelda, and of course it is the Legend of Zelda because this is not spoilers, I don't think, because even though Link is a protagonist, and that's always confusing, even back in the day, right? You're like, Legend of Zelda, yet you're playing Link the whole time, and where's Zelda?
What if Zelda was a girl?
It's a story of Zelda as in like the reincarnation of the goddess Hylia, right? Mm-hmm. That's how it's like the Legend of Zelda.
Well, and a big staple of the older Zelda games, and even still Breath of the Wild as well, although with the voice acting they weren't able to do this. Mm-hmm. With the older games, you were able to name your character whatever you wanted, which meant that Miyamoto and Eiji Aonuma were very big on making sure that Zelda was like a game where it felt like you were the protagonist. They were really big on like not giving you a character to play, but allowing you to play in the game, which is a big reason why you were able to name your character. And so like that was a big draw for me, was that it felt so just like engrossing and so immersive, being able to like be myself in this adventure.
And I think it builds a sense of creativity and wonder, and a sense of wanting to explore, right? I think I actually read an interview with Miyamoto about the impetus for the design of Zelda was that as a kid he used to go out exploring like in caves and forests and stuff like that, and he was like, what if, right, I was like this adventurer. And so I think to your point, that's really cool.
Yeah, the entire series is built out of a sense of adventure and excitement, and that's something that I really love about it. And they also are so different. Every game is so inherently different, but at the same time, there's a language that Zelda speaks that like you can feel. That's always underneath. It's funny whenever I watch people play games that aren't Zelda, or even sometimes when I watch people play Zelda, I'm always like, they walk into a room that has a puzzle, and I'm like, this is how you do it. Because I've played so much of it that like the language of a 3D puzzle game is so easy for me to be able to like read now. And so many games get their inspiration from, their puzzle inspiration from the way Zelda builds a lot of their puzzles. And so like, one of the fun parts about making this campaign has also been building dungeons, because I have always loved the way that dungeons work in the older games, and it was one of my gripes about Breath of the Wild, was that there weren't enough dungeons.
Shrines!
The shrines were fun, but if you did the DLC, the Champions Ballad DLC, the dungeon at the end of that was, it was so good. But the dungeons are one of my favorite parts, and solving the big puzzle box and like having things open up and evolve and change and grow as you solve puzzles. And so it was really fun to be able to like make my own puzzle boxes. The first dungeon that we actually did in the campaign, which I don't think at this point will be out yet, maybe it will be, who knows? But the first one that I built, the general concepts I built in about 45 minutes, because I've just played so many of them. It's like I said, it's a language that eventually, when you get as invested as I have, which is maybe in some people's eyes too invested, it feels so familiar. And going back to, I guess, the main concept is like, of this video is like what Zelda means to me. One of my absolute best friends, Ren, you can find her channel. We'll link her channel down in the below, or down in the below.
Down in the below.
But
the deep below.
During the pandemic, when I started streaming on Twitch, I met my friend Ren on Twitch. She lives quite a bit of distance away. We have actually met each other in person at this point, but during the pandemic, we became friends because of Zelda. It was a thing that connected us, and at first we were like, "Oh yeah, you're kind of cool." We were chatting on Discord, and then we did what Ren's husband Mark calls Pepe Sylvia-ing.
Pepe Sylvia, this name keeps coming up over and over again. Every day, Pepe's mail's getting sent back to me. Pepe Sylvia, Pepe Sylvia. I look in the mail, well, this whole box is Pepe Sylvia!
And we started pulling out all the red string and the tacks and started talking about, this is what we think is going to happen in the next Breath of the Wild game. Because that was even before there was an announcement of like any content besides the actual reveal that they were doing a sequel. And that was like one of our first conversations, was like just theory crafting about Zelda for like hours on end. And Ren is like one of my big sisters now, and like without Zelda being something that like connected the two of us, I wouldn't have someone who is like an integral part of my family now. And I didn't grow up with D&D, but I did grow up with Zelda. And Zelda has been kind of like that, like, community building link for me. For a long time. It's allowed me to, like, meet other people and make friends and have a common interest. And it's been really important to me. So, it's, like I said, I didn't have D&D growing up, but Zelda was, like, a close second.
I think Zelda's left an indelible mark in like many gamers' lives, and even now those gamers are making their own games, and you see those threads, right, of what Zelda is in D&D. I mean, in dungeons, in exploration of the overworld, and
games like
health and spells, and etc.
Tunic, and every single Zelda-like that I've ever played is escaping my brain at this exact very moment, because of course it is. I'm on camera. But there's just, there's so much influence that Zelda has had over the world and popular culture, and it's something that like it just has interwoven throughout at least my entire life, and that's why I wanted to run this campaign. You know, like David here is so intimately familiar with the world of D&D because you've been playing for how long?
Yeah, a long time. I don't know, 25 years, more roughly.
Yeah, that's a long
27
time.
years, yeah.
It's a long time.
Sure, yeah. Forgotten Realms. Ah.
But it's like that world for me was D&D, or excuse me, was Zelda. My D&D was Zelda, and so like when I was thinking about wanting to run my first campaign, because like the storytelling aspect is something that like really drew me into wanting to run something, was well, I don't know the world of D&D as well. Like it's a very complex and deep world with a lot of lore, and you know I've learned a lot over the time that we've spent together playing, but a world that I do know an insane amount about is the Zelda world, and so like it felt much more I'm much more intimately acquainted with it, and like it felt much more at home to make my own campaign in that, and the fact that we have Reclaim the Wild is such a great vehicle to for me to tell a story that I've wanted to tell for a long time. I get to make my own Zelda game. How cool is that?
Yay, yeah. So Reclaim the Wild is a system we've talked about here in the channel. We'll put in a link below where you can play Legend of Zelda around the table, right? Just like you would D&D. It's fantastic. Like I said, we're playing it here on the channel. It's a distorted augury. We use Reclaim the Wild system. We have the music from Legend of Zelda, thanks to Noble Demon and a few others.
Yes.
And so it's very authentic, very fun. We're all completely in costume. Cosplay for Legend of Zelda, so you know we love it, and I think it's really letting us express what Zelda means to us through playing,
and introduce a lot of people who aren't very familiar with Zelda to the game, because like I know Morgan really had very little experience with Zelda, and now through research for her character, she's watched a lot of videos of Breath of the Wild and Wind Waker to like learn more about the Koroks, and like she's gotten like invested in like the world of Zelda, and that's really exciting to me because you know now I have more people to talk to about Zelda.
And then once she gets all the Korok seeds, she'll get a golden Korok turd.
Yep, it's worth it. It's worth it.
So we're gonna go play Tears of the Kingdom now because I assume it's out. We recorded this end of April, so end of April. Both the dates in one. It's a Zelda calendar date.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so if you played Legend of Zelda, any of them, let us know what it means to you,
and let us know which one's your favorite, because it's a very divisive topic.
Yeah, it is. And the correct answer is Link to the Past. Okay, end the video now.
Nope. I would have to say that I think my favorite one is Twilight Princess.
That's probably the right answer.
My favorite one is Twilight Princess probably because it kind of feels like the ultimate culmination of what they were trying to achieve with Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. It feels like just that ultimate iteration of that. And also Zant. Oh, God, Zant's such a good boss.
Sorry, which timeline is that?
That is the childhood timeline.
The childhood timeline, that's Majora's Mask, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
It's after he goes back in time after defeating Ganon and lives out his life as a child. And then, Majora's Mask, then Twilight Princess.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you for watching. Leave a comment down below. Please subscribe if you like what we do here at Green and Garb. Check out the campaign. It's absolutely fabulous.
Thank you.
Any last words?
Don't forget to smite that like button.
Thanks. And take this potion, but it's not. It's actually a bottle with a bee in it.
It's not even a fairy. It's just a
bee. Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it. We'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.